Do you know, estimated around 1.2 million Kiwi New Zealander volunteers in New Zealand every year, contributing around worth of 3 billion services, not only to the economy, but also serving the community as well. This is your host, Asif Rajput Bhatti, and welcome to the third episode of Beyond Borders, Voice of Asylum Seekers, brought to you by Asylum Seekers Support Trust and Spectre Digital Limited. Welcome back to Beyond Borders, Voice of Asylum Seekers, where we showcase real life stories, challenges, struggle, strength, and support of our community. Today, we have an interesting and amazing human being here with us. She's been serving the community for a long time and with Asylum Seekers Support Trust for more than 5 years. She's been volunteering, and I want our audience and listener to welcome her. Welcome, Christina.
Thank you.
To our show.
Thank you.
Please, can you introduce yourself? I know your name is Christina, but yeah, please introduce
Christina 𝐁𝐸𝐲𝐿.
Okay. And where are you from, Christina?
I've lived in Auckland for a long time now,
Mm-hmm.
but I was born and lived in South Auckland in a little place called 𝐁𝐞𝐞𝐤𝐝,
Oh, thank you.
which is out near Port Waikato.
Mm.
So over 70 years ago, it was a long way away.
And it was.
So, yeah, quite isolated.
Mm-hmm.
I was brought up on a farm.
So what was life like back then, growing up on a farm? And
It was pretty idyllic, I think. You know, you take your life for granted, what it is.
Mm.
I'm the youngest of 5 children, and my parents had a farm, and so we're very busy. You know, they were always working on the farm, or my mother preparing meals, or making clothes, or keeping the garden, or growing vegetables. So quite self-sufficient, reasonably self-sufficient out there. And that was just, sort of normal life.
Interesting. And what would you want to be? What was your dream growing up? What would you want to be at that time?
I don't know that I ever thought about it. I don't think I'd even grow up. Maybe I'm not yet.
You're still young, if you ask me.
I don't know. In those days, well, I don't think it was just me. From that country school, I went to boarding school, and it was an all-girls school, of course, and we weren't encouraged to have wonderful careers or to aim for big deals, So it was, I think the expectation was that we would be nurses and teachers and dental nurses and really get married and have children.
Okay. Yeah, the culture that I'm from, is still pretty much alive over there as well.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that,
Someone's got to do it.
Yeah. All right. And what major did you do in college or study, or you just directly involved in business? So what were,
Well, I was a late starter, I suppose, to education. So I went to university when I was 50.
It wasn't very late.
So that was, a few years ago now, but that was, before that, I was lucky that I was able to stay at home with my children.
Oh.
We have 2 children. And that was really when I started my voluntary work as well. That, with all the things that are quite sort of normal at that stage. So, kindergarten and school committee. And then I was on the local council for a while. And then I was a volunteer for the AIDS Foundation for 10 years during that terrible time. And so, yes, I had part-time jobs, which were pretty interesting, and I was lucky to have. And so I then went to university when I was as an adult student.
All right. So what did you study?
I went there to learn te reo, and which I didn't learn because I'm so hopeless. But that was, I had a major, and I was interested in doing things about New Zealand. So New Zealand history, Māori language and culture, and then art history.
Right, because I think learning a language is not just to communicate, but to learn about their culture, the history. It's how fascinating when we think about our language. Like especially a very diverse language. English is like a very international language. When we talk about what's a culture of English, we mostly straight back to Britain. They're the English. But with these diverse languages like te reo, we will quickly think that, no, that's Maori language. If you talk about Hindi, you would say, that's Indian language. So it's always fascinating to learn language, learning their culture. It's our culture.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, amazing. And how did you get involved with the Asylum Seekers Support Trust, and when did you start volunteering?
I began in June. When did I say? 2019.
2019, yeah.
So I had retired at that stage, so and was looking to do something to work with someone, and I just looked at who the possibility was, what organisations might be needing help, and started off really with, I think, I looked at Red Cross and then their work with refugees, and through that, down that line, came to the Asylum Seekers Trust. And because I thought I wanted to be able to be useful practically, to do practical things, and I thought they would need
definitely
some practical help.
Did you know who Asylum Seeker were before joining?
Absolutely, did not know anything, and didn't know what an asylum seeker was really, and never knew anyone who was or knew one, so it was all a learning curve.
So coming from 5 years, so working with these marginalized communities, and learning about their stories. And what fascinates me about is that every individual has their own story and struggle, and I think what we most New Zealanders take for granted is that how fortunate enough we are to call New Zealand our home, and we don't know, we don't really know the struggle that these individuals go through, that those things we take for granted.
Yes, yeah.
Wonderful. So tell me about a typical day of your in working with Asylum Seekers Support Trust. How a typical days look like?
When I first started, there was only 3 people, Freya and Bella, and Tim was the manager.
Yep.
And that was it. And they were just so busy. There was so much to do. And so then I would just get to the hostel and to the office, and they would say, can you go take this person to the doctor or to the police station to pick up their gear, or to go and collect someone from prison, or go and take them to for x-rays, or there was just always people to help, just physically transporting at that stage.
Right.
And also being able to sit and sometimes, have a cup of tea and talk to people in the clinic, at the hostel, and get to know some people through that, which was also just a great opportunity to understand a bit more, but also for the client to have some human contact, some other human contact as well, because some people didn't get out very much, so it was useful for them just to be able to talk to me.
Yeah, I mean, like for as an asylum seeker or for asylum seeker, even if someone gives a smile, that could make their day. They will be coming back home and saying, "Oh, that person has smiled with," and talking to them and supporting them, helping them through their journey. I think that there's so much for them, and coming back to telling them at that time how much under-resourced. Still, we are very under-resourced, but that time, we were very under-resourced, and there wasn't any particular organization that is dedicated only for asylum seekers. That was a bit of a shock when I got to know, because I didn't know much about asylum seekers here in New Zealand as much. If you don't mind, do you want to sharing a moment or a particular story, that inspired or, that has impacted you while volunteering here?
I suppose there's someone every day, just to go back a bit, that now my main role there is I go there once a week, and with Colin, my husband, and we are involved in the food distribution. So food gets delivered to the hostel in bulk, and we then sort it into boxes, and then we deliver them. So we deliver to people who in the South Auckland area. So we, and through that we get to know. Sometimes we're delivering to the same families for a year or more.
Right.
And so we get to know them a little bit, and that's always, it's lovely to see them, to meet different people, to have brief conversations.
Right.
Because we're taking and seeing them in their homes, but we can't stop for too long.
Yeah.
Because there's more to do. I suppose there's just I meet new people when they come into the hostel and hear a little bit about their stories, and it never ceases to amaze me how resilient people are, and how heartbreaking some of the stories are about men that have been quite often come by themselves, and their wives and children are still somewhere else, and how difficult that is for them to be so removed, and then also worrying about their safety, their family's safety, and just wondering how they're getting on. So, and one man was in Mount Eden prison for 3 years.
Oh my God.
And But when he came out, he was not at all bitter, and was just the most positive person, and was just so thankful to be here and be out of prison then, and positive about his future. So I think I learn from people every week. My life, I have nothing to worry about, compared to how people live, and how they make this decision to come to this other side of the world. How on earth did they even know New Zealand existed? And they find their way here. So I'm always in awe of
it is
the
quite,
strength.
Yeah. It is always, when we see people, and there's a stigma, not only in New Zealand but all over the world, is that asylum seekers are here to take our homes, our jobs, our resources. But if we put ourselves in their shoes, leaving your loved ones, leaving the place that you were born in, raised in, where your friends are, your families are, and leaving that place that you might never return over there, and they've been torn by they've been crossfire in these political wars, religious discrimination, racial discrimination, and coming to a new country with a new start, with a hope of a better life, and it as you said, it takes resilience, strength, and leaving their family as well, like as you said, like their spouses or their children are still behind, and seeing them struggle. They don't even know that they might have a future here in New Zealand, let alone their family could come one day. And supporting these marginalized communities, and supporting these individuals without any major support from government or any big businesses, and I think that's what make us New Zealanders, Kiwis, a bit more empathetic. I've been to different side of the world as well, and of course you've been there, but I think New Zealanders have a slightly big heart than rest of us. I've got a family in Australia, nothing to do with Australia, but when she came here, she said, wow, people, when they look at you, they smile at you, they talk about the weather with you, and you can't imagine if we're in a train in Sydney and we're talking to a stranger, and he'll say that, oh, do I know you?
Why are you talking about it?
Yeah. So I think, there's a lot of love, in the community, and people are always looking to give back.
We've just recently, one of the families that we take food to, I asked the woman, was there anything else that she needed? Which is a really stupid question to ask someone who has nothing and is living in a garage. And she said very diffidently, could you get me a notebook? And I said, what, a computer notebook? And she said, oh no, just a little notebook to write in. And I said, of course, what for? And she's for her son, who's 9. She wanted to do some work with him after school, to work through some maths, and so she just needed something to write in. And oh my goodness! So I asked some friends, and one friend is involved in book publishing. So she gave me a whole lot of books, a whole bag. I could hardly carry the books, mainly maths, but English and so forth, so that she could have that. And we, found Colin. I think we went shopping and got, pens and paper and more notebooks. And I think that just the smallest things. So I said, right, you got all that. How's, is there anything else that you need? And she said, well, her 4-year-old, she would like, she said, if you've got any old books, because just anything that's he can use for counting, just small books for beginners. And so once again, I, asked. Next week, took her a lot of books. So just the gratitude, for something that was so simple for me to get, is just, fantastic to see, because I know that she will always remember that.
Definitely.
But I will always remember I'm the lucky one. I get to hand it over and see her face.
Exactly.
Which is just an absolute joy.
It is. And it is some sort of joys that, nothing else that could bring, especially bringing back, giving back to the community. And we've seen people, making to the life, taking powers, becoming tyrants or, kings, billionaires, mass businesses, owners. And I've never seen more satisfied people who are doing voluntary work, and I always see such calmness, their heart is always very light, they don't have any baggage with them, and always sleep like a horse. And they go to bed. And I think that's such joy, I think, only can, I don't know if that's how God has created us, architect us, because we're social animals, we are nothing without each other, one another, and also, supporting one another. And I remember a very nice quote of Mother Teresa. She said, do ordinary things with extraordinary love, And
I think that's with my networks of people that I can reach out to say, we need some clothes, or we need, this, we need this or that. And they are really grateful for that opportunity to say, look, I've got, yes, I can do this or that. And I think my first, a couple of months ago, I said we have a family who, 3 girls, and they need some clothes, and someone else would like, if there's a television. And it seems like a big ask to ask for a television, but within 2 weeks, I had more clothes than I could get into my car. I had 2 televisions, and I think 7 heaters.
Wow.
And people are just very grateful to be able to say, it's really good to be able to give and know that it's going to be appreciated and it's wanted. So I think that's the joy for all the giving, and that we all get together and are able to contribute. Yes, yeah.
We're gonna go on a short break. Honestly, I didn't want to go with such an interesting, talking we're doing with Christina. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Beyond Borders, Voice of Asylum Seekers. We were having a really interesting conversation with Christina here, a wonderful soul here, and we've been talking about her contribution towards asylum seekers here in New Zealand. Let's continue before we waste any time. So, Christina, we've been talking about how joyful it is to work with these individuals. Now, tell me, what's the most rewarding part here?
Just that ability, the knowledge that whatever I do, however small, it is being useful. It's being, and it's appreciated. People are so grateful. So it's easy. It's easy to give time and know that you're being helpful.
What's the most rewarding part of being a volunteer, Christina?
I think that just the gift of being able to give, and it's in really simple things, seeing people's faces that I just really appreciate any help, or as you said, a smile. Just being able to knock on their door and greet them and ask after the children or what they've been doing. Just very, for me, it's just simple. The simple things. And then, last week, one of the people gave me a beautiful cake.
Oh.
So, it's...
Was it good?
It was beautiful. We should have some, yeah.
Yeah, I should. It's the small things, small gratitude, smile, or a cake.
Yeah.
So you've told us that you've been working not just with asylum seekers, but you've been working with various organizations and doing voluntary work. What's the difference between working with other organization and in other communities and working with Asylum Seekers Support Trust?
I think that's really difficult because when you're volunteering, you're always doing something that needs doing.
Yeah.
So the people that you're working with are in need of support somehow. So it's really difficult to differentiate.
It is.
Asylum seekers, I suppose, I realise that they have no one else to fall back on.
Oh.
So we're it, who we are. They're here. So many of them don't have any family here or any friends or anyone that someone might know, someone who knows someone. So in New Zealand, everyone knows someone else.
Yeah.
But they don't. And so that becomes, I think it's more important that we understand that as well. Today, before you came, I've been sorting out family, old family papers and, and that's... Those are things that asylum seekers would never have because when they arrive with a suitcase.
Yeah.
And so they don't have the ability to bring old photos and books or, any family heirlooms. So they arrive with just nothing.
Definitely, because they're just running for their life, and even sometimes I've met a few families that they don't even bring any luggage with them as well, and it's quite difficult to see, what the hardship, most of these asylum seekers believes once we reach New Zealand or any asylum country they're fleeing to, and that the struggle will finish.
Yes.
But little do they know that it's, the real struggle, this is the real battle will begin. And most of these individuals had never gone through any legal battles like that when they were where they were from. And coming here, fighting for, just to prove that, their life was really in danger, and they're just not seeking any opportunity economy-wise. And going through that complex legal system is a big battle, I would say, for them.
At the moment, I'm just helping again a family that I've known for all the time they've been in New Zealand, which must be at least 4 years, nearly as long as I've been involved, and they're still going through this battle. And English is very limited, and I know what they've been through here in New Zealand to prove that they really do need asylum, that they can't return to their country. And it's terrifying, and a total ordeal. I feel sick about, with anxiety for them, and I have some understanding of what they're going through, or through the court system, but they have no knowledge, and it's all so new, and they feel helpless because they don't know what all the steps are. And it's on the one hand, I think New Zealand has to do some investigation to make sure that
destroy 𝐁𝐞𝐲𝐽.
Yes. But some things aren't, some of the things that they ask are also just seem ludicrous. And this family have now been here for 4.5 years, nearly 5 years, and still don't have permanent residency, and still being questioned. And that's not unusual. I mean, so it's tough. There's I think New Zealanders can feel safe that people don't arrive here thinking that they're just going to get an easy ride and they're going to just take over our jobs and our houses.
Yeah.
It's a tough life. It's a very tough life.
It is.
For the last week we delivered 17 food boxes on our particular run. 5 of those families live in garages. It's not exactly, they're not living in palaces.
That we think of. Yeah, no, it is a tough journey, I would say. So is there any message that you want to give to our listener, our audience who are listening or watching this show?
Be kind. Be thoughtful. And if you have time, volunteer. You can always do something. And if you don't have time, money. A little bit of money, a little bit goes a long way.
Definitely.
So, and it's certainly, nothing is wasted. Absolutely nothing is wasted. Yeah,
totally. And especially when I'm working with David, and I tell him that, okay, David, I need to do, some certain things, and it'll only cost $20. And he's always very mindful about it. He said, don't say just $20, You don't know that how our people who are donating just $5, $10, just telling just in a thought that this could go a long way, and when you just say $20, it's not just $20. I have to be very mindful about it.
Yeah.
So you're right that how under-resourced we are. Still, we are very under-resourced, and how I know that with the support of volunteers and the staff, the operational team that is putting more hours than they're being paid off, and just out of love, because they love working with our community. We're gonna go on a short break, but I promise we'll be right back. Welcome back to Beyond Borders, Voice of Asylum Seekers. We've been having an amazing conversation with Christina. She has a warm heart, love for the community, and a really, really great person itself. So let's continue, Christina.
Yeah.
We've been having a very interesting conversation with you. What one thing that you would like to tell that that has impacted you as a person? Not just working with asylum seekers, with working in this non-profit industry or sector for over your life, over the years.
I think not-for-profits are the same. There is never enough money,
Yeah.
and it is a struggle all the time. And any dollar that comes their way is definitely very well used and considered before they're used. So it's I think in New Zealand we do have a history of being good volunteers. I understand that that's changed over the years, and but still people manage to volunteer, give their time and money. Somehow there's lots of organisations that are not for profit, and just so it's hard for people sometimes to decide what they're going to give their time or their money towards, because there's so many good causes. I urge people to do what they can, and
there's an interesting thing that is going in Europe, particularly in Denmark. They are opening banks, and these banks are volunteer banks. So there you can work in aged care sector, or there's other few sectors that accept those banks. And what government is doing is that there are many hours you spend in working in these non-profits or these sectors. Once you get old, you can use those hours for yourself. Let's say that there will be particular services, like if you need cleaning, if you need a person to walk your dog, or
drive your car.
drive your car. I think that's a really interesting idea. What do you think about it?
Wow, that's pretty amazing. Yeah. It's. I think some people just get nervous about volunteering as well, and not sure how to go about it, and then what is the commitment, and of course I think it's good if you can commit to a certain number of hours, whether that's weekly or monthly, then that's fine, but just you don't have to do a lot to actually make quite a big difference. And it's also, there's, I think with asylum seekers, there's all sorts of things you could do that doesn't necessarily mean you have to go somewhere. You could, do social media. But, whether it's fundraising, whether it's, gathering clothes or goods or, just being an advocate, just, sharing some of your skills, maybe your business skills, or just making those available to people.
That is very interesting thing you said, that, with asylum seekers, there's not particular one thing that, our community needs. It could be plumbing if you're doing business. It could be, dental, I would say.
Dental, cars,
Cars repairs,
I mean, just because, this is Auckland and everyone needs a car, really.
Totally.
And so quite often if the asylum seekers buy really cheap cars, but then need some help to keep them going.
Totally.
So, there's that practical sort of help can be, really, really useful as well.
Yeah. If you're listening, please, we do really need your support. You can give this support either by going to our website, asst.org.nz, or follow us on Instagram, Asylum Seekers NZ. Oh, it's been a wonderful show. It's wonderful conversation, Christina, having with you and seeing, how our community is supporting our community. It's really, lovely to see when people are doing something from their heart and something that they love about. We really need more people like you.
Thank you.
And thank you, everyone, for joining us in. We will see you next month, same time, same place. Bye.